So President Putin, he's beaten everybody else, but strangely, he didn't actually make it into first place, which has been left blank. So what's going on here, Ghana?
Bill, can you imagine the brainstorming behind that decision? It was the international political think tank Eurasia Group that came up with a list of the world's most powerful individuals, with the Russian president at the top of that list. Then they decided, no, they couldn't leave him there. So they put Mr. Nobody at the top of their list. So Vladimir Putin is second to Mr. Well, or Mrs. Nobody, according to this think tank and to the Foreign Policy magazine that published the list. Authors explained that they left the top position empty because the modern world has no clear leader, they said. They also said that they based their choice of names on that list on the individual's ability to single-handedly, quote, bring about change that significantly affects the lives and fortunes of large numbers of people.
All right, so nobody ahead of Putin on the list, but who's actually snapping at his heels? Who's just behind him?
Well, Bill, the Russian president is followed by U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke for the influence the organization has on the U.S. economy and, by extension, on the global economy. German Chancellor Angela Merkel for policies that are, quote, the glue that binds Europe. And U.S. President Barack Obama, he ranks the fifth on the list. Then you have the head of the European Central Bank, the Chinese Communist Party leader, and others. So very powerful individuals, obviously not easy to decide who's the most powerful. But that's the fun of making lists like that, right? One lesson that probably other list makers can learn from this one is that when you're struggling with the first spot, there is always the enigmatic Mr. Nobody you can put on top and cite some deep philosophical reasoning behind that decision. But some would see it as defying the purpose of a list like that. It's like coming up with a list of the world's sexiest women and putting a Miss Nobody on top of that list, you know, citing something like, there is no such thing as the sexiest woman on earth. That's right, there isn't. And following that logic, all lists have to feature a nobody at the top, but then what's the point of making such lists?
RT's Ghana Chichikan, thanks very much indeed for that. Good to hear from you there, live from Washington, D.C.